What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel. And if you guys are new, welcome. Y'all have been killing it lately, and I truly appreciate y'all for that. So we are continuing our build grind for y'all this summer with another Solar 3.0 banger. This time we got another Titan build for y'all with the Ashen Wake Exotic Arms, giving us the power to throw fusions like we are Trunks and Goten, bringing together with the fusion dance. These grenades are super fun to throw around, creating those explosions, and we're gonna get them basically instantly. So to start off here, just like always, we got our subclass we're going to go over with our aspects and fragments. So we are running our good old Hammer of Soul, so when we get defeats with that, we're creating those sunspots and orbs of power inside of our super. For our abilities, we're going to be running Towering Barricade, our Strafe Lift with our Throwing Hammer Melee for that Radiant, and then also our nice Fusion Grenades, which have a very low base cooldown in itself. Pairing that with Ashen Wakes and some of the mods fragments that we have here, we're getting them back basically instantly. For our aspects here, we're going to have Roaring Flames, so those solar ability final blows or ignitions increase damage for our solar abilities, stacking up to ×3. So when we get this up to ×3, our fusion grenades are going to be doing actually a crazy bit of damage on enemies, and with those exotic arms, they explode on impact. Next, we have Soul Invictus here, so those solar ability final blows, and like I said, Hammer of Soul impacts create us some nice sunspots, so our abilities regenerate faster and our super drains more slowly when we're inside of those sunspots. So it's going to be able to, when we throw and create a sunspot via that fusion grenade, we can go stand in it if we need to get any energy back, and it'll be a super quick refill of that grenade energy for us. For our fragments right here, we're going with Ember of Char, so our solar ignition spreads Scorch to those affected areas, which is nice because those explosions created by the fusion grenades will create Scorch around 2 other targets, which in turn will create more ignitions. Right here we have Ember of Eruption, so those ignitions have a wider AoE, so we're going to be spreading Scorch to a wider area because of this mod right here. Next off, we have Ember of Blistering, so when we get defeats via those solar ignitions, so via all that Scorch that we're spreading via our first 2 fragments, as well as just the explosions we're getting from our grenade in general, is going to give us grenade energy back in itself. Finally, for our fragments, Ember of Torches, so our powered melee attacks make us and our nearby radiant, just because we're using throwing hammers, so we're not really losing our melee too often. So this is a nice way to clean up, get our roaring flames to stack up to ×3 if we need it, and then just spam fusion grenades all over the place. So right here, we're going to go over the weapons and armor. Now, I know my Titan kind of look goofy, but got that Optimus Prime vibes. Hard to make the Ashen Wakes look really good, so this is what I went with. For weapons, we have the He Rod C with Subsistence Demolitionist. This allows us, with those defeats, to get grenade energy back quickly via that Demolitionist perk, and when we throw out our fusion, this reloads the weapon because of Demolitionist. For our energy weapon, which is what we use mostly to create those solar elemental wells, as well as this golden tricorn perk right here, final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage. While this buff is active, grenade or melee kills of the same damage type greatly increase its damage and duration. So when we get defeats with this weapon, the Retrace Path, and getting golden tricorn to proc, then we're going to be doing extra damage with our grenades and throwing them around. Like I said, they do a decent amount of damage, but with this, it's going to be creating even more damage on those explosions. Finally, we're just going to be following it up with Gjallarhorn for that solar synergy, and this is just the king of heavies. For our armor mods right here, we're going to be going with Harmonic Siphon, so when we get defeats with that Retrace Path or Gjallarhorn, we have that chance of creating Orbs of Power, which will give us our super back. As well as a mod later, we get our grenade back from picking up Orbs of Power. We also have a Well of Ordnance, so picking up those solar elemental wells grant us additional grenade energy, multiple copies stack. So we do have 2 Well of Ordnance on, and we're going to be creating a decent amount of those solar elemental wells via our retraced path or even our Gallowhorn. This right here is our exotic gauntlets that make this build worth it, the Ashen Wakes. So fusion grenades now explode on impact and gain increased throw speed. I did test this versus fastball and it is exactly the same, so you don't need fastball on these arms. Final blows with the fusion grenades grant us energy for our grenade. So it just comes back full circle with what we have mod wise. Getting those solar ignitions grant us grenade energy, as well as this bring the heat perk on our arms. When we get those fusion grenades defeats, we're also getting grenade energy back, just intrinsically giving us a lot of grenade energy just for a single throw of the grenade. On the mods that we have Bountiful Wells, so I can stack 2 sets of elemental armaments, which pair with our Gallowhorn and our retraced path. So when we get those solar defeats, we can create elemental wells. And then we're actually going with impact induction, so causing damage with your melee grant us grenade energy. So when we do happen to not have our grenade, we can throw that throwing hammer, which we also basically always have, unless we do lose it. That'll in turn give us grenade energy as well. Moving on to our chest piece right here, like I said, I have elemental armaments on this as well as on our class item, so we can create those solar elemental wells via both our retrace path and our Gallowhorn for getting those defeats. And because we have 2 of them on, we are able to create more of those elemental wells, which in turn once again give us energy for our lowest ability, as well as having this Well of Ordnance on both our legs and our headset. We are able to grant us additional grenade energy when we pick up those solar elemental wells. So picking up 3 or 4 basically give us back our grenade instantly. And then we are also going to have classy restoration, so as always we can stay alive. And then we also have bomber on our class item here, so when we reduce grenade cooldown when using that class ability, which pairs perfectly with classy restoration on. And then another elemental armaments, like I said, for those solar elemental wells. And as you can see, blowing through with this nice retrace path. I actually really like this gun. Kind of slept on in my opinion. Definitely need to work with it more and kind of get that golden tricorn to proc. But once you do, it does add a good amount of damage to the grenades. And like I said, when you throw those grenades and it hits the ground, it basically gives you them back as long as you are defeating enemies. And in something like a Lost Sector, or when you're going through the Altar of Sorrow like I did on the outside, you can get those grenades back pretty instantly. And that's where our retrace path with creating those solar elemental wells come into play, and our armor mods in those Well of Ordnance, where we pick them up, it grants us energy, as well as our fragments for Solar 3.0, that those ignitions grant us grenade energy on top of that. And then if all else fails, we do have our auto rifle with demolitionist on, which those final defeats will give us grenade energy as well, but that's hardly needed because of the retrace path ability to drop those solar elemental wells for us. And just in general, like I said, when we throw the grenade, we're basically getting half to 3/4 with just throwing it and getting a couple defeats. And then if you get more than 1 or 2 defeats, that energy basically fills all the way up. So super easy way to create those nice sunspots for us. Sitting there, get protection with enemies walking into it and getting that scorch and dying, and it also gives us our abilities back just a little bit faster. So definitely give this a try. Optimus Prime wants you to go out there, fight for those Autobots, throwing these solar fusion grenades around, getting those defeats and protecting this galaxy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate the support. Builds like this are a lot of fun to make for y'all. Definitely got to switch it up here and there, and this one I think is a super fun fusion build for this Titan. So thank you guys again. Truly appreciate it. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.